All right, guys. Now, number one here, we know that we have a, what is that called?
Fake ratio.
Fake ratio. That's our fake ratio. I'd like you guys all to be writing what I'm writing. Please don't make me give you an invitation to write something down. Thank you. Okay, that's my fake ratio. That's just what we're basing everything on, right? Now, you got to be really, really good readers here when you're reading this, because this is what the only thing that's really maybe a little bit challenging about this is how many different unit rates are there for every ratio? Two different ratios. So on this one here, I can figure out how many miles I would travel in 1 hour, or I can figure out how many hours it would take me to travel 1 mile, right? It's all about per one though. So you got to be a real careful reader. Is there going to be a proportion involved here?
Yes.
Obviously. So let's all go ahead and put our proportion on there. Now, it's how many miles would you travel per hour? Doesn't that mean in 1 hour, guys?
Yes.
So because of that, where does one always go in my proportion?
Bottom.
Bottom right, good. Now I know that my label here is going to be hours. In hours, that means that miles must be on top. Okay? Now remember, the first ratio, this one here, is always going to be the fake ratio, right?
Yeah.
So you just make sure that you have the number with the correct label. So 12 miles is going to go there. 4 hours is going to go there. Now from here, it's pretty easy. It's just all setting it up. That's what is the only thing that's maybe a little bit challenging. What am I doing to my number of hours here? I'm dividing them by 4. And I'm going to have to do the same thing to my number of miles to get what? So what's the answer to the question? Right there, 3 miles. Okay, that's the answer, because it wants to know how many miles would I travel per hour. Everybody got that?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go down to number 3. Actually, you know what? Number 3 and 4, we're not going to do them right now because these were actually right from the formative. And they were, I already explained that. So if you want further explanation on number 3 and 4, you can go back to the formative video, which is, I posted that on Thursday night, or Friday. I did it Friday too. Both. It's on Thursday and Friday night's video. You can go back and take a look at it. Okay? Let's talk about this one, number 5. And this is one that a lot of you missed. Okay? So we're all going to read it. Read along with me. There are 8 balloons in 4 stars. Is that right there my fake ratio?
Yes.
Yes, it is. I always like to just point that out just so that we're all clear. That's what I'm basing everything on. That fake information or that initial ratio. Okay? Now, from that information, what have I always told you is a good idea to do? Nobody remembers? Okay. This is where, remember we did edge pieces, guys?
Yeah.
Right? So that would mean I'm just going to look up here. It says there are 8 balloons and 4 stars. Would it be a good idea for me to just come up and do, that's 8 balloons, that's 4 stars, right? And could I also add in that there are 12 total balloons and stars?
Yes.
Yep. Those are all just, are you doing this? You did your edge pieces? You're not even doing the right thing. I meant below that. Alright, so now we just got to read. But this is very important. And the other thing that we did on the video, remember, is if you want to model it, so you actually want to draw 8 balloons. Boy. Is that 6? And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Either one. You can do just like a model of it or a drawing of it, or you can do the edge pieces. Either way. Okay, all I'm doing is I'm organizing my thoughts so that I know how many balloons and stars there are. So let's read what Anna says. So Anna, she says the ratio, I'm going to do this in highlighter so you can see it, of stars to balloons. So she gave it to us in that order, right? So that means which number goes with stars?
8.
8. Which number goes with balloons? 4. Good.
8 goes with
Okay, what? What's up?
Doesn't 8 go with balloons?
It says right here, look guys, it says Anna says that the ratio of stars to balloons. This is the first label that it gives, So that means the first number that it gives must go with that. Balloons come second, so that means we're going to worry about the second number. It doesn't matter that it gave us in a different order here. That does not matter. Remember, I could say that the ratio of balloons to stars was 8:4. I could also say it the opposite way and say the ratio of stars to balloons is 4:8, right? Can't we flip it over? In here, if I said that there were 2 girls to 5 boys, isn't that the same thing as saying 5 boys to 2 girls?
Yes.
Those are exactly equal to each other because they're saying the same thing. The labels are making them say the same thing. Well, this is the same way. It gives us stars first, right? So that 8 goes with the stars. So let's just demonstrate. What is Anna saying? She is saying that there are 8 stars. I'd like you to write this. She's saying 8 stars to 4 balloons. So let's just go up here now. Let's base what we learned right there on our edge pieces or our picture. Is that true?
Nope.
No, that is not true. Anna is not correct because she gave it to us in a certain order. Now, let's talk about what Billy said. Billy said that the ratio of, again, he gave stars first, just like she did. 4 must go with 8 then, or 4 must go with stars, correct? And then balloons come second, so that means that label, the second number goes with the second label, right? So what Billy is saying is he is saying that there are 4 stars to 8 balloons. So obviously, is that one the correct one? Right? Because as you look, there are 8 balloons and 4 stars. 8 balloons, 4 stars. Here, I don't know why I wrote starts. Here we have 8 stars. It's backwards. So when you have to explain why, I'm not going to write it all out here. I'll let you do that. But it's because Anna is saying that there are 8 stars and 4 balloons. Billy is saying the correct one, which is that there are 4 stars and 8 balloons. It's all because order matters, right?
Can you spell order now?
I mean, I would always be more thorough than not, okay? Number 6, we're going to skip that. We'll come back to it. But that's kind of the edge pieces will really help you here, okay? And we've talked about edge pieces, so everybody should know what that is, okay? Let's do this one, number 7 and 8 here. Now, people were missing number 7 and 8 in my other classes, okay? First of all, do you need a proportion for both of them?
Yeah.
So let's just go ahead and put that on there now. Let's do 2 proportions here. Do 2 proportions here. Okay? Now, you got to be real careful readers. Right there is my what?
Fake ratio.
That's my fake ratio. So that I'm going to base everything on. But I don't want you guys to just start writing 15 and 3. I don't want you to do that. We always start by drawing the proportion out. Then we put 1 on wherever it goes. Then we're going to go and put our labels on and then fill in our numbers. So we know 1 always goes here in both these because both these have the word per in them. Okay? So number 7 says how much does it cost per pen. So that means what label is going to be on the bottom?
Pen.
Pens. Which means that money must be on top. Right? Right, everybody?
Yes.
Okay, down here it says per dollar. So that means that what must be 1 what?
Dollar.
Dollar. So that means dollars are on the bottom. Okay? And then pens on top. Now we can take our, let me make that a little bigger. Now we can take where we know the fake ratio always goes there, right? And we can start filling in our information. Again, making sure labels match. So that's 15 pens. So we got to make sure it goes with the P for pens. And then $3 on top. 15 pens over $3. Okay? Now, what am I doing to my number of pens here?
Divide by 15.
I'm dividing by 15. So what do I have to do to 3?
Divide by 15.
Now, I've had so many people, please stop and listen, throughout the day today, or in second period that is, they put 5 here. Because they're doing 15 divided by 3. If it's 3 divided by 15, isn't that going to be a number less than 1? Yes. Okay, and when you do that, it actually is going to give you 0.2. Now, will I accept 0.2?
No.
I will not. Why? Yeah. Money goes to hundreds. Everything we do is going to go to the hundreds. So it must say 20 cents. Right?
Yeah.
All right. And remember, when you type these in your calculator, You just go from left to right. 3 divided by 15. You can use a calculator on the test. Okay? Here, what am I doing to my number of dollars? Divided by 3. So what am I going to do to my number of pence? Now this one is going to be 15 divided by 3. That's 5 pence per minute. So my answer here would be 20 cents. My answer here is going to be 5 pence. Right? Everybody see how I did that? Notice I have labels. Obviously you have to show a proportion. All necessary. Okay? Now, which of the two previous unit rates makes more sense? Well, here's my question to all of you. If I walk into the store, can I come up with 20 cents to buy 1 pen? Yeah, if I put 2 dimes together, or 4 nickels, or 20 pennies, I can go in there and I can throw it on the counter. I can give them 20 cents, and I can buy 1 pen, right?
Yeah.
So we already have confirmed that one definitely makes sense, right? Now let's talk about this one. Could I go to the store and put $1 on the counter and get 5 pence?
Yeah.
Could I actually do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so would that one make sense too?
Yeah.
So in this case, it would be both would make sense. And I'm not going to write the explanation, but I just want you guys to understand that when you do this, it's all this. First of all, guys, I just want to make sure I'll highlight this. This is called unit price. That is the cost per one of the objects. Okay, whatever you're trying to find, whether it be pencils, pens, staplers, whatever you're buying, whatever one of them costs, that's called the unit price. Okay? Now, that one will always make sense because we can always have decimal money, right? We always can have cents. This one is the one that won't always make sense, this one here. Because let's say, don't write this, but let's say this was actually 16 pence for $3. And I did 16 divided by 3. And I can't even read that.
5.3333.
I got 5.33. Okay? So, on this one here, guys, would this one make sense?
Yeah.
Could you go in and buy partial pens? If I put $1 on, would they be able to sell me 5.33 pens? They would?
Okay.
No, you could buy 5 pens, but you can't buy a partial pen. Is everybody understanding that? So in this case, it would be both because, I'll go back and erase that, because it is saying, well, I could buy 5 pens for $1, but I could also spend 20 cents to get 1 pen. That makes sense. I will accept both. Okay, 10 through 12 are going to be a similar question to that. Just make sure you read it. If it says per pen, make sure you do per 1 pen. If it says per $1, make sure you do per $1. Okay, let's go to the next page. Okay. This question, if you need help on this question right here, guys, it is on the chapter 4. You may want to write this above your above this. Chapter 4 formative video that I posted last week. Okay, it's just like this one. The whole key here, it was very similar. The whole key to this thing is you must show proportions. Did you write that? You must show proportions on all these. And some of them, like when you figure out if A was true, it took him 12 minutes to run 1 lap. Once you figure out let's say that was true, you proved it with a proportion. Could letter C be true then? If they got different amount of minutes for 1 lap, then with your proportion in A, you figured out how long it takes him to run 1 lap. Okay, this would be minutes, something like this, right? And you know that the fake ratio is 36 minutes and 3 laps. You would end up getting 12. So is A true? Could C be true if A is true? No, because this is saying in 10 minutes. So basically, when you eliminate C, you say, nope, that can't be true. You would just draw an arrow or something up there to that. You guys understand that?
Yeah.
So you have to prove all the ones you select with proportions, and you have to prove the ones you don't select. Okay? Everybody understand that?
Yeah.
We'll practice that here in a little bit. But that one's a little tricky. But if you need help, go back to this video. And you don't have to watch the whole thing, but it's on whatever the second page of the test. So about halfway through, maybe something like that. Just go on there and listen to the explanation on that. Write it down. Try it yourself. Whatever. Okay. 14 and 15. Still had people in second period missing those two questions. Guys, I'm okay with everybody in here going ahead and writing it out and trying to figure out what you're dividing by or whatever. But when you're done, will you guys just please go back to your calculator and do 21 ABC 28, just to see if it gives you that. There is no reason anybody in this room misses either number 14 or 15. Everybody understand?
Mm-hmm.
What's the actual
Formative. Okay? This one here, what's the first thing we should do on number 16?
fraction?
Fraction. Turn the
Put 'em into a
ratios
proportion.
fraction.
Fraction form, proportion form, that's fine, same difference. Okay, and I know it's the first number always goes on top, second number on the bottom, and then I know 36. Now I just have to figure out what I'm doing to go from that to that, and I got to do the same thing to put top and bottom on that one. Everybody got it? On this one, I can see that I'd be multiplying by 6, so therefore 11 times 6 is 66. Okay? Okay, number 18, we'll do this one together. Okay? The ratio of boys to girls is 18 to 6. If you wanted to go up and model that, you could, but there's no point. We're going to use a proportion here. I know there's not a lot of room here, sorry. Should have made it a little more spaced out. Now, it says model the unit rate per girl. Because it says per girl, what are going to be my labels on the bottom? Girls and girls. That means boys up top. So now I'm going to take my fake ratio right here. Notice, hey, this is just like the balloons to stars questions. See how boys comes first? See how boys comes first? Then I know that 18 comes first. So I know boys goes with 18. And I know that girls goes with 6. Everybody see how that works? So that's going to be 18 to 6. What am I doing to my number of girls? So what do I got to do to my number of boys? Now, is that the unit rate? 3 boys per girl. Absolutely, that's the unit rate. But you've got to make sure you read what the question says, or what it's asking for. Now, I covered it up, but you can see the key word there is what? Model. It's right there. It's really hard to see because I wrote over it. But it says model it and use B's for boys and G's for girls. Okay, all you do here is you go, okay, that's boy, 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 girl. That is your model right there. Does everybody understand that? But you must show the proportion in order to get that right. Everybody good? Okay. Writing the ratio in 3 different ways. Okay. I reviewed that in the formative video also. If you need to know or look back in your notes, it's learning target number 1. Just refer back to that. You can do it with a colon in between, the word to in between, and you can put it in fraction form, right? Okay. This question I want to talk about. Everybody look at number 21. Okay. Explain why you can multiply or divide both terms of a ratio by the same number without changing the value of the original number. Okay. Now, this question was the one that was X'd off on the formative, and I actually didn't mean to. It was actually a mistake on my part. Okay? So you all need to pay attention. So what this is saying is, if I had the ratio 2 boys to 3 girls, okay? And I knew, and I'm telling you that what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the top by 3 and the bottom by 3. Am I going to get something that's equivalent?
Yes.
This is the question though. Why? Why is this possible? Why? Okay, and I'm just going to explain it, just since here's why. If I made this into a fraction and made that 3 over 3, what does that equal right there? 1. Right?
Yeah.
So, we know that whenever we're doing whatever we do to the top and the bottom, we're just multiplying by 1. And we know that anything times 1, anything times 1 equals what? Anything. Let's put it like that. Does that make sense? Right? Anything times 1 is anything. Okay? So it doesn't matter. Every time we do that, whenever we're you guys get that? I'll go up here and show you this one. Like right here, when I simplified right here, and I did 21 over 28, and I was able to divide by 7, what I'm really doing is I'm dividing it by what? I'm dividing it by 1. Does everybody understand that? you're going to have to explain that. I will tell you right now, you may as well go ahead and put a star by it. It's going to be on the test right there. That's why I put it in bold and italics, because it's going to be there.
Can we literally just put anything?
No, you need to explain why you can do that, because when you do the same to the top and the bottom, you're actually just multiplying by 1 or dividing by 1. That's called the identity property. That's why if we did 20 divided by 1, what's that give us? 20. And if I did 20 times 1, what's that give us? 20. Because every time you do this step right here, I'm dividing by 2, or whatever, you're actually just dividing by 1. And you could look at any proportion on here. These, right here. See how I divided by 6 and divided by 6? What am I actually dividing by? 1. So that's why I get something that might look different, but it has the same value. Okay? Here, or not here, I want to go to the next previous, or here. So what am I doing to go from here to here? Dividing by 3, dividing by 3. What am I actually dividing by? 1. Right? Nobody should miss that question, because I told you it's on the test. All you got to do is just basically memorize it, even though I don't really like that word. Okay. Number 22. A recipe for punch calls for 6 cups of orange juice and 4 cups of apple juice. Would it be a good idea right now to do edge pieces? Let's do edge pieces here. Let's do some edge pieces. Remember, that's just my fake ratio. But I'm going to do some edge pieces just to get my thoughts all in order. Just like the Anna and Billy question, I want to get my thoughts organized. So I know that one of my pieces of information here are 6 cups of OJ. Okay? And then I know that the other part of it is that I'd have 4 cups of AJ, apple juice. Right? Right? Everybody got that?
Yes.
What other piece of information do I know? It's not necessarily there, but I can do a little bit of work. Remember, Mr. McGill makes this little mixture whenever he wants to work out, I guess. So he takes 6 cups of orange juice and dumps it into a cup. He takes 4 cups of apple juice and dumps it into a cup. What other piece of information do I know? Yeah. That the whole drink is 10 cups total. Everybody got that? Does everybody understand that? Why aren't you writing this? Okay, I know that there are 10 cups total. Everybody got that? Yeah. Well, Mr. McGill has some people over to his house. He needs to make 60 cups of it. Right? So if he needs to make 60 and his original recipe has 10 cups, what is he doing to his original recipe? Isn't he multiplying it by 6, everybody? That's all he's doing. So if he's multiplying his total recipe by 6, then what does he need to do with each of his ingredients? Yeah, so I'm going to take the 6 cups of orange juice, and I'm going to multiply that by 6. You could. Here, this is going to be 4 times 6 is 24. So that means that he's going to need 36 cups of OJ. He's going to need 24 cups of AJ. Does everybody see how I did that? It's all about figuring out that one other edge piece. Everybody good? Okay. Here, if you need any help on number 24, that's going to be just like the one from the Chapter 4 formative video. Okay? You're going to have to find 2 different unit rates. Okay? 2 different unit rates. So that means, in this case, we're going to be figuring out per football, the cost per football. And then the other one would be how many footballs per what? $1, right? Everybody see how I did that? Now you just put your fake ratio, which is right there on there, and then you figure it out. Here's the deal. If you get a partial football, does that make sense? No, because you can't buy partial footballs. If I get partial money right here, can I have partial money?
Yes.
Sure I can. That's why we have all of our coins. Okay, we can have partial money. Okay. Number 25 and 26. Where are those answers at? Notes or your Chapter 4 formative video. Right? Chapter 4 formative video. I went over those word for word. Told you I wrote them on there. Go back and memorize them. You all wrote them in your notes as well. or on your formative. It's there. No reason anybody misses these that I'm telling you they're going to be on the test. Absolutely. And there's going to be one just like this one on the test. All these questions. I'm not putting anything random on here. These are all going to be very similar to the test. Okay, and finally, we'll just do number 27. Okay, are the following ratios equivalent? There are 4 different ways to check for equivalency, right?
Yes.
Let's check. Start with the first one. Cross products. Isn't that where we just multiply diagonally? 12 times 2 is 24. 3 times 8 is 24. That's called cross products. You may want to write this again. Even though it's in your notes, you may want to write this. Okay? Another one you can do. Can you simplify?
Yes.
Absolutely. So you can get your calculator out. Do 2ABC3. That would stay as 2 to 3. 8ABC12. That would stay, or that would become 2 to 3. So right there, we just haven't. There's at least 2 methods we've checked, and they become yes. What is the fourth or the third method? That is where you divide them, because all ratios are division problems, right?
Yes.
So divide, and when you divide them both, you're going to get 0.6 repeating and 0.6 repeating. There we go. All 3 methods gave us what we want. The fourth method, the little fourth I call it, it's where you can just tell what you're dividing by to go from there to there. 8 divided by what is 2?
4.
12 divided by what is 3? What did I actually just divide the whole 8 to 12 by?
1.
By 1, right? Okay? Is everybody clear on this?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we are going to skip over number 1. Okay, and we're going to...
I don't have the paper.
Let's go over the process, and I expect you to be writing down what I'm writing down. So, you know exactly what my expectation is. A lot of times you guys start doing things any way you want to, and you just kind of go at a problem, and you just start going at it. And it's like, why don't you do it the way I've taught you to do it? I'm going to give you the best method. I know what mistakes 6th grade students make, so it's a good idea for you guys to be trying not to make those mistakes by doing it the method I gave you. What is this right here, guys?
Fake ratio.
Okay. As I look around the room, I should see everybody's pencil going and writing this. Fake ratio, absolutely. Notice we're on number 2, not on number 1. Number 1 I already covered in another part of the video. Okay? Fake ratio. Now, we know this is going to be a unit rate question because it says the word per, right guys? So we know we're talking about per 1 of something. Okay? So let's go ahead and do our proportion on there. Now, where does 1... Go ahead and do your proportion on there. Okay, now where does 1 go in that unit rate proportion? Yes, sir?
The bottom.
The bottom right, specifically, right? Now, we know that there are 2 different unit rates for every ratio, correct? You can figure out per $1, or you can figure out per 1 pencil. So it all depends on what the question is asking for, correct? Okay, so in this case, it specifically says per pencil. So what is going to be the label on the bottom? Pencils. So P for pencils is fine. And then that means that money is going to go on top. If it said, how many pencils can I get for $1, then the question would be a little bit different, wouldn't it? Or then our proportion would be flipped upside down. Okay? So let's go ahead. Remember the first ratio in a proportion. Actually, before I go on to that, everybody notice, this is how I've started. Every time I've done a proportion in this entire class, this entire chapter, I've always started with the proportion, then labels, then numbers. That's how I've always done it. That's how you should do it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put my fake information on here. I know it's going to be $7.20 for a dozen. You got to know that dozen means 12 pencils. Thanks, Ishti. All right. Now, what am I doing to my number of pencils here? I am, Lucy, I'm dividing it by 12. So what do I got to do to $7.20? Divide it by 12, right? So, can I do it either? Can I do it any way I want? Can I do 720 divided by 12 or 12 divided by 720?
No.
No, you can't. Okay, you've got to do it the way that it asks for it. From left to right, you type it in. When you type that in, you get 0.6. Will I accept 0.6?
No.
I will not accept 0.6. I will probably, no, not probably, I will take a half point off. And the reason why is because this is money. We cannot have money to 1 decimal place. Money always goes to 2 places, the hundreds. So this is not 6 cents. This is 6 dimes, which means 60 cents. So what would the answer? What would the cost per pencil be? It would be 60 cents per pencil. That's what the answer would be. Do you need to have a proportion?
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay. 3 and 4, guys. If you want to know how to do those two, I'm not going to go over them now. But if you go back to the chapter 4 formative video that I posted on Friday, I believe it was Thursday or Friday. If you go back to that, fast forward to number 3 and 4 on the formative video, I explain those in detail and how I want you to do them. Just keep in mind, there are several different ways you've learned how to check for equivalency, right? One of them is simplifying, right?
Yeah.
The other one is dividing. Yeah, I know. And then there's also cross products, right? But cross products is a little harder on this one. Here's the deal. If you simplify this one, and you get a simplified ratio of whatever it is, 5 to 12 is what it is, shouldn't, whichever letter you choose here, shouldn't it also have a simplified ratio of 5 to 12?
Yeah.
Or if I divided 15 divided by 36 and got some decimal, shouldn't the two that I select have the same decimal value? Either way is fine. Okay? I know that you probably are looking at this going, oh, this one is the same one from the formative. Well, that's fine. But if you don't prove on this on the summative tomorrow, it will be wrong. Understood? So you need to prove it. Okay? Same with 4 here. Same way. I would just simplify it, but you have to prove in order to get it right. Okay? All right. Let's go on to number 6. Okay. This is the one that everybody's been missing all day long. So I want to make sure that we're all clear on 6. Okay? There are 5 basketballs and 19 soccer balls. Who remembers what method I would give you guys right now, or what I would tell you to do at this point right here? Yep. Ooh, sketch box. Or edge pieces, but yeah, nice job there. Yeah, I call these, so everybody should be doing these. I call these edge pieces, and these are just like where we put our fake information, like from our fake ratio. So you guys should be doing as well. We're on number 6. Guys, we're on number 6. Okay? So, what does that mean? Well, that means that I have 5 basketballs. That means I have 19 soccer balls. What else do I know? There's one more piece of information that I know that I have to work for, but it's there. Yep. That there are 24 total basketballs and soccer balls. Okay? Now, that isn't ultra important for this, right? Like, this isn't all that important, but I want you to get in the habit of doing that for a question coming up here in a little bit. Okay? Now, another way that I said students could do it is you could draw it. You don't have to, well, I mean, if you have space, you can put it somewhere. But I could go through here and put like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I could put like little bees in them. Like, you don't have to get all detailed. I'm just modeling that I have 5 basketballs, and doesn't that mean that I have 19 soccer balls? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. We'll call the blue ones soccer balls. Isn't that a good, couldn't we do that also, guys? Mm-hmm. All right. So, let's go in here and read. Really wish I wouldn't have covered that up, but you get the point. Okay. Got to be real careful readers on this. That's kind of the whole point, the real tricky part. So, it said, or Anna, she said that the ratio of soccer balls, now I'm going to highlight that in green. Now, does the order matter when we're talking about ratios, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you notice how she gave us soccer balls first? So doesn't that mean the first number that she gives goes with, oops. Doesn't that mean that the first number in the ratio goes with the soccer balls? Do you see how I did it with colors here, guys? See it? And then she's saying that there are 5 basketballs, which I know this is going to be harder to see, but you get the point. So those numbers go together. If it just, and people were getting confused earlier today because they were saying, oh, well, it says basketballs to soccer balls there. And then she's all of a sudden flipping it and giving us the other way. But just keep something in mind here, guys, that if I have 5 boys to 2 girls, isn't that the same thing as 2 girls to 5 boys?
No. No.
If I say in this classroom there are 5 boys to 2 girls, and that's the same thing as 2 girls to 5 boys, aren't they the same?
No.
Yes.
No.
Okay, So we'll model it for you, for anybody that's confused. Isn't that what we're saying right there? Okay, so is there any difference?
No.
They're the same thing. You can flip ratios as long as the labels go with it, right? The labels are the key. You just can't say, oh, yeah, 5 to 2 is the same as 2 to 5. That's not necessarily true. But if the labels go with it, you're fine. Okay, so going back down here, let's describe what Anna is saying here. What is Anna saying? We can see that she listed soccer balls first, and then 19 was first. So isn't she saying 19 soccer balls? Hello?
Yeah.
And then she's saying 5 basketballs. Right? Okay, now let's figure out what Billy's talking about. Let's go through his. We'll do his in the same kind of color situation. He is saying that the ratio of soccer balls, which comes first, so that means 5 goes with soccer balls, right? Hello? Okay. And then basketballs comes second, and it goes with the second number. So what is he saying? He's saying there are 5 soccer balls to 19 basketballs. Okay? Who is correct based on our edge pieces? Yep.
Anna.
Anna is obviously correct. And you're going to have to explain it. You have to explain it on the test. You're going to have to explain this in some form. Yeah, it does mean order matters, but if you want to be thorough and make sure you actually get the right answer to be thorough, you can say, well, Anna is saying there are 19 soccer balls and 5 basketballs, whereas Billy is saying there are 5 soccer balls and 19 basketballs, which isn't right. Right? Just say something like that. Okay? All right, let's go on. We're going to go down here to number 10, 11, and 12. Okay? First of all, do you need a proportion for both number 10 and 11?
Yeah.
Just like we did up on number 1 and 2, right? So, here we go. Let's do one. Let's go ahead and draw our proportions. Because you're going to be kind of squeezed in here, but we'll make it work. Okay, now we see the word per in both of them, correct? Manny, please. And I put my 1 goes there, right? Right? Are you writing this?
Yeah.
Okay, I know that over here in this question it's saying how much does it cost per pencil. So because it says per pencil, that means my labels here are going to be pencils, right? Which means money on top. Money on top. Whereas the one below it, it's saying how many pencils per dollar. Right? So now I know that dollars must be on the bottom for this one. Pencils. Put my fake ratio on there. $6 for 25 pencils. What am I doing to go from 25 pencils to 1 pencil? Yep. Divided by 25, so what do I got to do up here? Does the order in which you type in this problem matter? Yeah, you must go from left to right. 6 divided by 25 is going to give us what? 0.24, which is 24 cents, right? Now the other one is going to be, try to do this in a little different color here so that you can actually see it. Okay, it's going to be 25 pencils for $6. What am I doing to my number of dollars? Divided by 6, so what do I got to do to 25? And that's going to give you
4.17.
4.17 because we're rounding to the hundredths. Okay? Does everybody see it?
Yes.
So my 2 unit rates are 24 cents per pencil or 4.17 or 4 1700ths pencils per dollar. Or per $1, however you want to say it. Those are my 2 unit rates. So I have to figure out, does this is A, this is B, or there's C, both. I need to figure out which of those 3 makes, or which of those 2 makes the most sense, or do they both make sense? Okay? Yep.
The first one makes the second one makes they both don't make sense.
Okay.
Oh no, the first one makes sense.
A absolutely makes sense because if I walk into the store, can I come up with 24 cents to buy 1 pencil?
Yeah.
Sure I can. But if I take $1 into this store and I put it on the counter, are they going to be able to give me 4.17 pencils?
No.
No. Okay, so you cannot buy, you cannot get, you cannot get partial pencils. Okay. Now, let's do this. I'm not trying to confuse you. The answer is A, and it says explain. The reason why would be because you can have partial money, right? I can come up with 24 cents. You cannot have partial pencils. But let me just change this problem a little bit. Let's say instead of it being 25, let's say it was 24. Okay, so don't get too confused here on what this is. Then it would be 24 pencils for $6. Now, how many am I getting here? What if I did this? Then I get 4 pencils. Now, if that was the answer for that one, don't worry about this one. If that was the answer for that one and this was the answer, do they both make sense or does one make more sense?
Both make sense.
Both of them make sense because I know I can buy a whole number of pencils, right? Right? I just want you guys to be aware that this right here is called unit price, which is the price per whatever the object is. So in this case, pencils per one pencil. That one will always make sense. Okay? It's all about whether, when you figure out how many you can get for $1, if that gives you a decimal, it's probably not going to make sense 95% of the time. And in this case, I can't buy partial pencils. All right, let's go on to the next page. Okay, this one here, number 13. This question I will do at the end of the video for homework tonight. So when you get to the end, I will go over this question. I will tell you the answers. But the whole point is to prove it. If you get confused in any way on this question and you don't even know how to start it without watching the video, go back to the Chapter 4 formative video. That will give you, I did one just like it, only it was Mr. Gellenbeck, remember? It was on the formative. It was number 14 on the formative, or 15, I think. And you just got to go into that video, fast forward to wherever that question is, and watch me do it and try to understand it. That will help you with this one. You just got to remember, whenever you do this one, you've got to, I already wrote it, proof. Okay? Number 15. Okay? We have the ratio 36 to 42. Listen, guys, I don't care. If you want to try to simplify number 15 on your own, if you want to do that, and like we would fractions, and you want to go, okay, they're both even, so I can divide them by 2, divide them by 2. That gives me 18 to 21. And then you're like, oh, I don't know anything. That's my answer. If you want to try to do that, more power to you. I don't care. What I'm begging you to do, though, is please, when you finish, would you please just take the 5 seconds necessary to type in 36 ABC 42 to see what it gives you? Okay? You can use a calculator in the test. I want you to use it. If you would have noticed here, you can actually divide by 3 to top and bottom. And that's where you get 6 to 7. Okay, everybody got that? But why wouldn't you go back? Nobody should miss these two. There's 2 of them on the formative, now there are going to be 2 of them on the summative. I had some serious issues with that on the formative. People missing them. And it's just, it's silliness to miss them when you have a calculator sitting right in front of you. Okay, now I'd obviously like you to make sure you know how to do this, but I think we've proven that in Chapter 3. Okay, number 17. Okay, number 17. What's the first thing we should do on 17? Yep.
Put in fraction form.
Put them in a proportion, which is two equivalent fraction form ratios. Okay, so I know the first number always goes on top, so 35 to 15. Okay, and then it's blank over 3. I just got to figure out what am I doing to go from 15 to 3. Divided by 5, so what do I got to do to 35? And remember, order matters in which you type it in, left to right. That's going to be 7. The answer to that is 7. Okay, I don't expect any problems with that. This one, I'll do number 19 now. Okay, this is the one that was very similar to the one in the formative. Because it says unit rate per dollar, do we need a proportion?
Yes.
So let's start there. Let's do our proportion. We know that 1's going to be on the bottom right. Okay? Now, because it says per dollar, what label is going to be on the bottom? Doobie. Dollar sign. Nice job. Dollars, dollars. And that means that cans of Coke are going to be up on top. I do my fake ratio, which I know is right there. And that's going to be 15 cans of Coke for $3. What am I doing to my number of dollars? Yep.
Divide by 3.
Dividing them by 3. So what do I got to do here?
Divide by 3.
So is that the unit rate, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the unit rate? Yes? Is that the answer to the question though? That word right there. Remember?
Model.
So this is the one where you have to just kind of draw it. And some people just did it with C's, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 C's, and then $1, something like that. I'm fine with that. The other way I showed you on the formative was people actually drew it out like this. And then, whoop, we need one more. And then a rectangle for $1, something like that. That's all I'm really looking for. But you must have the proportion. If you don't have a proportion, it's wrong. But I'm just looking to see, the model is just showing the cans of Coke per dollar. That's all it's showing. Up here on number 18, you can see it uses just B's and G's for boys and girls. Okay, number 20. Okay, this is learning target 1. I don't think there's any issue there with this one. You just got to remember there are 3 ways to write every ratio. You can write it with the word, or with a colon in between, so first number to second number. You can write it with the word 2 in between, right? And then you can obviously always write it in fraction form with one number over another number. Okay? So those are your 3. Colon, 2, or fraction form. Good? Number 23 now. We're going to jump to number 23. Okay? A recipe calls for 10 cups of Sprite and 1 cup of rainbow sherbet. Okay? All right? Sherbet. I didn't type it. All right. Oh, it is. Okay. Okay, so this is my what?
Fake ratio.
Guys, is this a good opportunity to do edge pieces? Absolutely. This is the exact time when we show edge pieces, and here's why. I can look there and I can see, okay, I need 10 cups of Sprite. I need 1 cup of rainbow sherbet, right? What other piece of information do I have? Do I gain from this? Yeah. Doesn't that mean there are 11 total cups, guys? So every time I make this punch recipe, if I'm making it at my house and I use that fake ratio recipe, am I going to have actually 10 cups of stuff? Or 11 cups, right? Because I have 10 of the Sprite, I have 1 of the ice cream. That means put it together and I'm going to have 11 total. Okay? Well, Mrs. Allen wants to make 55 cups of this punch for her weekly cleaning party. Sounds like fun. Okay? So she wants to make 55 cups. She doesn't want to make her original 11 cup recipe, does she? Because it's not going to be enough. She's obviously going to have people at her house. So what did she do to her recipe, to this number right here? What did she do to it? Yeah. She did 11 times 5. So that's what she had to do. So she's going to make 55 total cups. That says cups, by the way. Total cups. That's how much she's gonna make. Well, she has to keep the recipe consistent. If she uses different amounts of Sprite and sherbet, it's not going to taste the same. So if she multiplied the total cups by 5, what does she have to do to the Sprite? Yep.
Multiply by 5.
So that means she's going to need 10. That's where 10 came from. She's going to need 50 cups of Sprite. She's going to need 1 times 5, 5 cups of rainbow sherbet. Did everybody see how I did that? You're just figuring out what you're, and this is all proportions, but on this one I'm not going to require it as much, but you absolutely could. You just have to do 2 different proportions. Or just 1 actually, if you wanted to. I mean, once you figured out that it was 5 times bigger, you could say, okay, 10 Sprites for 1 rainbow sherbet. So that's going to be Sprites here, rainbow sherbet here. I know that I'm multiplying both the top and the bottom by 5, and I get the new ratio of 50 to 5. You guys see how I did that with a proportion? You guys all see that?
Yep.
Good? Okay, let's go on to the back. Okay. This question right here, guys, just note that. All right, last 2, 25 and 26, you have those right on your formative. We wrote them down when we went over the formative. If you lost your formative or whatever, it's on the Chapter 4 formative video. I told you word for word, and they're in your notes. I told you word for word what I expect on that. A ratio is a comparison of 2 numbers by division. A unit rate, I'll accept 2 definitions. I will accept a ratio where the second term is 1. I will also accept the amount of something per 1 of something else. I will accept that. Okay? But I will not just accept per 1, as some of you asked me. I will not accept per 1. It's the amount of something per 1 of something else. So in this case, it's the amount of money per 1 football. Over here, it's the amount of footballs per dollar. Okay? Last one here, 28. Are the following equivalent? How many methods did you learn to check for equivalency? Yes?
3.
3, big 3 I call them, and a little fourth. Right? So, we know that what's the one method you can always do is you can simplify. So you can do 6 ABC 10. That's going to give you 3 to 5. You can do 15 ABC 25. That's going to give you 3 to 5. So far, when you simplify, are they equivalent? Yep. You can use what's called cross products. Cross products, that's when you just multiply them diagonally. 10 times 15 is going to be 150. 25 times 6 is going to be 150. Bang. We know that the answer would be yes. The other method that you can always do is just divide them, because all ratios are division problems, just like fractions, right? When you do 6 divided by 10, it's going to give you 0.6. When you do 15 divided by 25, it also gives you 0.6 or 6/10, right? Why aren't you writing this? Okay? So all 3 of those methods gave us yes, right? Remember, the fourth method is just when you can look at it. Can you guys look at it and see what you're multiplying to go from 6 to 15?
No.
So this is where the fourth method doesn't help you. Whereas this one up here, the fourth method might help you. I don't know. We'll see. So it'd be yes. How many of these methods right here do you have to show on the test?
3, 2.
You have to show 2 of them. Alright, so this question right here, I wanted to quickly just go over it to make sure everybody was clear on what I expect. Okay, there was one just like this on the formative, so if you want extra practice, go back to the formative video, and it was number 15 on the formative, so you can take a look at it. So I know right here, this is my fake ratio. So I have to go through here and select all that are true. So what I did is I'm just basically going to turn this almost into a true or false on all these. Okay, and then the deal is, whether it's true or false, I'm going to basically prove whether it's true or false with my work. So for A, that's saying that it took him 12 minutes to run 1 lap. Well, because that says 1 lap, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to figure out how long based on this fake ratio, I'm going to actually just figure out how long it took him to run 1 lap. And if it matches, then great, it's true. If it doesn't match, at least I know that it could be this one down here. Anytime I see 1 lap, it could be that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put 1 lap there. So I'm just going to prove it. So I'm putting minutes there, minutes there. Okay, then I put on my fake ratio. That's 36 minutes for 3 laps. Okay, now I'm going to know that I'm dividing by 3 to both top and bottom. Okay, and that tells me that, okay, 12 minutes per lap. So I have proven this true because of that ratio. So yeah, A would be one that would apply here. Well, then I went through and I just basically said, where else is it finding a unit rate per lap? And we've already established that right here it does. Well, this is saying every 10 minutes. So C is eliminated because for this too. Like we found that, use that unit rate proportion here, it told us that, yeah, it takes him 12 minutes to finish a lap. Well, then if that's the case, it's not going to be 10 minutes for a lap. Okay? Now let's go to B. Now I'm going to highlight some stuff here just to show you. It's saying in 1 minute. You guys should all be thinking already, well, that's a unit rate per minute, which you know that every ratio has 2 different unit rates. And I see 1 minute here. So for my next proportion, what I'm going to do, I'm going to either prove that B is true or E is true. One of the two. So I'm going to do it like this, just so you guys can kind of see it. You don't have to do it 2 separate proportions. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a ratio here, and I'm going to say, okay, 1 minute's going to go here. So that means minutes here. That means laps here, and that's going to be 3 laps in 36 minutes. So I know that I'm dividing by 36, and then I'm dividing by 36 here, which means, remember, that has to be your divisor, second number. So you must do it in that order from left to right. Okay? When I do 3 divided by 36, it's going to give me 0.083 repeating. Now, remember, everything we do, and as it says it here, is we round it to the hundreds. Everything we've done so far, money, everything's rounded to the hundreds. So I'm going to look there, and that's either going to be 0.08 or 0.09. Obviously, the 3 is going to tell that 8 to stay put at 0.08. So right away, I have just proved that B is false, right? And E is true. So E must be an answer. Okay? So now we've eliminated all the unit rate ones, all the unit rates. Okay, so now we're left with letter D, and it's either going to be true or false. It either is equivalent or it's not. And what I did for letter D, and I'll show it right here, is I just set up another proportion. Now there's a lot of different ways you could do it. Okay, this is one way you could do it. You could say, well, I know it takes him 12 minutes per lap. Well then, let's just see, how long will it take him to run one lap? So I know that I'm doubling my amount of laps, which means I'm multiplying by 2. So I've got to do that to my amount of minutes, and I get 24 minutes. Okay, and right there I just proved that letter D is also true. Now the other way you could do it is I could take my fake ratio, 3 laps is 36 minutes, and then I'm going to take this ratio, 24 laps, 2 laps in 24 minutes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to check for equivalency. So you guys all know there are 1, 2, 3 ways to check for equivalency. You can simplify, you can divide them, or you can use, I'll just put CP, but you all know that means cross products. So when I do that, 36 times 2 is 72. 24 times 3, that's 72. So right there, they're equivalent because of cross products. Now let's do simplify. When I simplify this, I get a ratio of 1 lap to 12 minutes, which makes sense because of that, right? When I do that here, I get the same exact simplified ratio. So 1 lap, that's supposed to be an L, to 12 minutes, I simplified. When I divide, I'm going to get 0.08, and I'm going to get 0.08, and that's rounded, of course, but they're rounded the same way. So I just proved with 3 methods. So either way on D, you can do it either way on that one, okay? The other one I want to do on here, real quick, is, oh, and remember, on these here, these 2 are on your other Chapter 4 formative video. You also wrote them down on your formative, so really no reason anybody should miss those. But on number 27 and 28, I just want to make sure everybody's aware, you will have to show 2 methods. So the 3 methods I just showed you up at the top, you will have to show 2 of them. Okay, now, here's one that I wanted to go over real quick. Okay, you're going to be doing 2 proportions. Okay, because you're going to do 2 different unit rates. So you know one always goes there. Okay, now it's all about labels. Doesn't matter which one you have where because the question doesn't ask. You just have to do, we'll do per footballs over here. So footballs in the second turn, money on top. And then over here we'll do how many footballs per dollar. So dollars will be on the top. Money will be in the bottom. Sorry. Footballs will be in the bottom. So now I'm going to go ahead and put my fake ratio on there. I know that it's going to be $36 for 11 footballs. I know over here it's going to be 11 footballs for $36. Okay, you can just see it's just flip-flop. That's all. What am I doing to my number of footballs? I'm dividing by 11. What am I doing to my amount of money? Dividing by 11. So I get out my calculator, and I do 36 divided by 11. Remember, it has to be in that order, and I'm going to get 3.272. Now remember, we always round to the hundredths. So there. Okay, so that's going to be $3.27. What am I doing to go from 36 to 1? Dividing by 36, dividing by 36. Now remember, I got to do it in that order. So it's going to be 11 divided by 36 is 0.305. So 0.305. Again, we're going to round to the hundredths. Let me make sure on that one. I want to make sure I didn't do something wrong. Okay, so 11 divided by 36, 0.035. We round there, so that's going to be 31 hundredths. Okay, so here's your unit rates. I know that I can, for $3.27, I can get 1 football, or the other unit rate I found is that for $1, I can get 31/100ths of a football. Now, you have to then explain which one makes more sense. Obviously, hopefully you're all realizing this now because we've done so many of them, this is the one that's going to make sense. Okay? And the reason why is because here, I can buy a partial amount of or I can have partial money. I can come up with $3.27. You know, we have coins in our money system that allow us to have partial money, partial dollars, I should say. Okay, but if I walk into Dick's Sporting Goods or any store like that, am I going to be able to throw $1 down on the counter and buy that many footballs? No, I wouldn't. So it's all because you can have partial money, you cannot have partial footballs. All right? Hopefully this helped, guys. See ya.